It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. We read your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. And subscribe to the podcast of this show by following the KABC News Blitz on Apple Podcasts or wherever you happen to podcast. California is in a full-blown insurance crisis, and there are so many different forms of insurance that are all going up at the same time. It's hard to know what to get more irritated by. Is it your home insurance going up 30%, or is it your car insurance going up 30%? Or liability insurance and so many other things. And there are a lot of factors for why insurance rates are going up. Yes, things are more expensive now. You also have a whole lot more risk with all the crazy wildfires. You also have a lot of worse drivers now than you ever had during the COVID times. But there are a lot of factors that contribute to why insurance rates are so high. You also have the insurance companies that found out they can play chicken with the insurance commissioner and get whatever they want. But on top of all that, let's just remember that fraud is rampant in the insurance world. Rampant. And anytime there are losses due to fraud in the insurance industry, us ratepayers are the ones who are going to be paying for it. Now, there was a case this week of the most insane, blatant, dare I say, stupid case of insurance fraud I've ever seen. And this one was so dumb, so blatant, and so ridiculous that they got caught immediately. And we've got to share it because it's a special story. It's in our own backyard, Lake Arrowhead, where a couple of guys who were up to no good. No, wait, that's a rap lyric. A couple of guys claimed that in Lake Arrowhead, a bear had attacked their Rolls Royces, their luxury cars. It got in there. It scratched up all of the seating, and it scratched up all the equipment. We're going to need thousands and thousands of dollars to repair this. The only problem was when insurance agents and the insurance investigators in the state of California looked into this story, they found out it wasn't a bear at all. What was it? Oh, just you wait. Is delicious.
Bears are often uninvited guests in neighborhoods across Southern California. Perhaps that's why a group of alleged fraudsters thought they could dress up as a bear.
Yeah. Somebody rented a bear costume like the one you used to see late night on the Conan O'Brien show, although without the diaper. And they dressed up like the bear to show security camera footage of a bear tearing up the inside of a car.
Yeah, damage their luxury cars and collect huge claims. Well, state investigators say not so fast. Their act was a bust. KCAL News reporter Tom Wade is live in Glendale with, I would say, a pretty bizarre story, Tom.
Now, the first question obviously is, how could somebody so moronic ever be the owner of a Rolls Royce to begin with?
Yeah, this is so bizarre, Pat. Not only did they dress up as a bear, according to investigators, they recorded themselves doing it so that they could then submit these recordings to insurance investigators to collect money. And they did it in Lake Arrowhead in order to...
Why did they have to dress up as the bear? Wouldn't they just, most people, if their car actually got attacked by a bear, you're not going to have video evidence of it. They'd have to take your word for it because your car looks like it has been through hell. But no, these guys wanted to be thorough in the stupidest possible way.
And they did it in Lake Arrowhead.
This is one of those feel-good criminal stories because you can feel good that you're not this stupid.
And they did it in Lake Arrowhead in order to convince people that, in fact, this was a bear. Take a close look at this grainy security video. What do you see? A bear? An animal? Something else? It turns out state investigators say what you're looking at is a human dressed in a bear costume.
Somebody put on a bear costume. They got it Spirit Halloween before they shut the doors on October 31st. And they got some makeshift bear claws. Maybe they got those. Have you ever seen, if you're into smoking meat, you can buy these things that they're kind of like claw grips so you can tear apart pulled pork. Maybe they used those to try to tear up the upholstery in their car.
Staging what would turn out to be several insurance fraud claims to luxury vehicles, totaling a little more than $140,000. The suspects sent these videos to their insurance companies, claiming a bear tore up their cars.
These guys are like, this is foolproof. This is going to work. They had to think this out. This was so premeditated, they needed to find a bear costume.
Those involved have been arrested and are now facing serious fraud charges.
Oh my God.
We're going to start seeing every insurance investigator see if anybody has bought any Halloween costumes before they filed their claim.
And are now facing serious fraud charges.
Oh my goodness.
This man lives next door to two of the suspects. He says police came early this morning to make arrests.
It was 7 o'clock. We opened the door. They told us to shut it.
I'm just going to go out on a limb here. Smoker.
Make arrests.
It was 7 o'clock. We opened the door. They told us to shut it.
And not cigarettes. That's cigar.
It was 7 o'clock. We opened the door. They told us to shut it. Really? So we were kind of peeking through. They had the ram thing or whatever, you know.
We showed him the videos of what investigators say is the fake bear car invasions.
That's amazing. I would have never thought of that. I mean, you know.
Do you think they studied late at night the movements of the bear, what the bear would act like? Because they're not only dressing up as a bear, they're filming the bear.
That's pretty far out there, but hey, you know, whatever works. But I mean,
they saw all those videos of people in like Sierra Madre where the bear was hiding under the house and like, there's got to be a way to cash in on this.
If they found the bear suit.
And in fact, investigators did find a bear costume. This is it.
Also, another rookie mistake. You used the bear costume, you filmed your video, and you did not get rid of the evidence? You kept the bear costume for what? To do this again?
Complete with fake claws. They also sent these photos of what the suspects claimed was damage to the insides of their cars. The scratch marks appear suspiciously symmetrical. State investigators
say this is just amateur work through and through.
State investigators say the suspects tried the scheme multiple times using a 2010 Rolls-Royce and several other high-end Mercedes models.
Whoever's inside that vehicle is not moving like a bear. He's moving like a human.
Harry Kazakian is a licensed state insurance fraud investigator.
Okay, insurance fraud investigator might have a fun job.
Insurance investigators are trained extensively to detect fraud, not only human factor detecting fraud, as well as nowadays the AI, and we got all kinds of cross-referencing.
Kazakian points out it's not.
I don't know if you need AI to tell that was a guy in a bear costume.
We got all kinds of cross-referencing.
Kazakian points out it's not just how the so-called bear is moving in the cars, it's how they entered.
And then, of course, opening the door and getting inside the vehicle.
But did the bear use the car handle?
That is highly suspect and questionable.
Well, there you have it. These suspects apparently face several years behind bars. They tried this scheme at two different insurance companies. Reporting live in Glendale, I'm Tom Waite, KCAL News. Pat, back to you.
So did they take out policies at multiple companies on the same car and try to see if this would work?
All right. Thanks so much, Tom. Boy, what?
How elaborately stupid. And the one thing that's great about that is it shows that even when there is fraud, insurance investigators take it very seriously. Well, at least they do when it's someone dressed up as a bear. But as we're about to tell you in our next story, part of the problem with insurance fraud is sometimes, even when there is evidence of it, even when there is a good claim of it, the insurance company has found it is cheaper to settle it than to fight it. For more, we go to a report from NBC in the Bay Area.
Well, they created their own.
Do you think we're going to do the whole hour on the bear? I mean, I'd love to.
Well, they created their own insurance crisis.
All right, add Bobby Von Murta to the long list of Bay Area viewers complaining to our response team about losing their property insurance. He joins Philip, Maria, Spencer, and so many others.
But Von Murta's case has a twist. Actually, it has lots of them. He told consumer investigator Chris Kimura that his policy is a puzzling poster child for
good alliteration
for why our insurance rates are so high.
All right, let's find out what happened at this one. NBC Bay Area investigates.
So many others. But on Murta to the long list of Bay Area viewers complaining.
No, I just call it Sycamore Apartments.
Bobby Von Murta has rented out these Newark apartments for almost 4 decades.
I built them in 1987, and I've owned them that long.
Getting insurance here has been easy, until now. But don't blame wildfires, winter storms, or inflation.
How about fake bears?
Von Murta says he's unable to get insurance today because a former tenant hustled him and his insurance company during the pandemic.
Oh boy, I had a feeling that COVID would have to do with this one.
This is extortion.
Here's what happened. Von Murta says the tenant moved out quietly, but then sued him for at least $100,000, claiming he'd rented her an uninhabitable apartment.
Oh, no. This guy's a responsible landlord. He's been taking care of these places that he built with his own 2 hands for 4 decades. He's no slumlord.
She never complained about the habitability of her apartment, ever. Never. If she had, I would have been on it.
In this small complex of just 12 apartments, neighbors talk.
Longtime resident here, 2017.
Dave Skidmore says he never heard his neighbor complain about her apartment being uninhabitable.
No.
You would figure the other tenants would have similar issues, like if you have water damage and you have leaks and you have mold, that usually isn't concentrated to one unit.
No, not a word. I was actually very surprised that there were any complaints about habitation.
Von Murta says his insurance companies got involved and ordered an independent review. He showed us the expert's conclusion. The tenant's complaint was almost entirely devoid of facts.
Okay, so the insurance company had an independent investigator show that, yes, this woman is making it up. This lawsuit is BS. This is as frivolous as it gets.
I'm no slumlord. I take care of my places.
Von Murta expected his insurance companies to fight, but no. They did something he did not expect.
They paid out $150,000.
They settled? And this might be one of the reasons why insurance is so expensive these days. You have a clear-cut case of BS fraud, and they still settled. They investigated it and showed that it was nonsense, and they still settled.
To settle the case.
$150,000.
We wanted to know why. One company declined to speak to us. The other didn't respond.
This is the half bath.
Von Murta says reps did talk to him and told him it was just cheaper to settle for $150,000 rather than litigate and rack up legal fees. Bobby was and still is.
Who are they, the County of Los Angeles?
Bobby was and still is furious at his insurance companies.
It was all fraud.
Now he is known in the court of record as a slumlord because the insurance company settled with a fraudster.
You know, they're really not suffering the consequences. The people who are buying the insurance are.
He's not the only one saying that.
It's a huge problem.
Michelle Rayfeld heads the Coalition Against Insurance Fraud. It's a group of government fraud investigators, insurance companies, and academics. The group calculates that fraud costs insurance carriers more than $300 billion a year.
$300 billion a year in fraud. That might be, I don't think it's but it's close. It is very close to the liabilities that we're seeing with this wildfire damage. Fraud is as big, if not bigger of a problem than the fires in California. And this isn't something you can necessarily blame on the state of California for why your rates need to be jacked up as much as they are.
Which they pass on to us.
An individual in the course of their lifetime stands.
And there's two sides to blame. You blame the fraudster for sure. There are a lot of criminals out there, including our bear costume friends, that are trying to take advantage of the insurance company, which means they're end up taking advantage of you because you're the ones that have to pay for it. But the insurance company doesn't have to settle just because they can get their own reinsurance and pass on the cost to you. That encourages more fraud.
Stands to lose $73,000 to insurance fraud in the form of higher premiums.
Rayfeld says consumers like you should report any suspected fraud.
In contacting the appropriate authorities so something can be done about it.
That's what he did.
At the get-go is so key.
And that's exactly what Bobby Von Murta did. Local, state, federal.
I told them this was fraud immediately right off the bat, that none of this ever happened.
no one has pursued his case. Von Murta says everyone's paying a little more for insurance because his insurance companies caved.
Well, they created their own insurance crisis.
He says he lost his coverage over this episode.
So let's get this straight. He has a tenant file a fraudulent claim and sue him. The insurance company has an investigation, finds out that the landlord is in the right, that this tenant is full of crap. They settle and they drop him from his insurance policy. Now he has to get a policy from somebody else where it costs a lot more money. Unbelievable.
He says he lost his coverage over this episode, but he hasn't lost his appetite for accountability.
I'm ready.
I know you're going for the alliteration there, but we know he wants revenge. And it's okay. Vengeance is due, my friend.
I'm ready anytime.
He's still hungry for law enforcement to take a second look at his chapter of California's insurance crisis.
Take these people to task for what they did. And I hope something comes of this story, Chris. I really do.
If you've lost your insurance in this crisis, we are eager to hear from you. Please tell us about it, like Bobby did. Just snap the QR code on screen right now to fill out our consumer complaint form online.
And I'm sure a lot of people did. But even though we talk about all the ways that your insurance is going up, from higher costs to inflation to higher risks to Ricardo Lara being a shill for the insurance companies, $300 billion a year in fraud, yeah, that could be part of the reason your rates are going through the roof. And it doesn't help when the insurance companies are bending over backwards to settle these cases. Unless, the people dressed up like a bear, because that one you definitely got to do something about. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. A little programming note, since tomorrow we're doing the broadcast at Gladstone's from noon to 3 for the John Phillips Show, which if you're going to Long Beach, I hope to see you there. We're going to be at Gladstone's in Long Beach, the John Phillips Show, Friday, November 15th. That's tomorrow from noon to 3, broadcasting live from the beautiful patio right on the harbor in Long Beach. It's going to be gorgeous. The view is going to be amazing, and the food is going to be great. I'm so excited about that. But because we're doing that, you're going to hear a best of the News Blitz, a best of happy hour Friday on the News Blitz tomorrow. And I'm sure it's going to be a lot of fun. And then I'll see you back here live on Monday. But if you're around, if you haven't thought about it, take the day off. Come see us tomorrow from noon to 3 at Gladstone's in Long Beach. Biggest live event of the year. We're going to have a blast. Speaking of having a blast, how about this? 790 KABC welcomes Michael Rappaport to the Saban Theater on December 6th. Tickets are on sale now at AXS.com, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Saban at the Canyon, where music meets the soul. Good luck dialing. When we come back on the News Blitz, as we cover the ever-worsening insurance crisis, we find out from our friends at KGO just how difficult it is to get a hold of the California elected insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara. Whether you are a constituent who is dealing with insane premiums, rising rates, or canceled policies, or whether you are a local news organization trying to get those questions answered for the people that he's ignoring. We're going to find out all of that in an exclusive interview that they finally were able to nail him down for next on the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC. 1-800-222-5222. Take your emails as well. Read and respond to everyone at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. And follow us on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get podcasts, by searching for the KABC News Blitz. That way, if you ever miss a show or you want to listen to one again, those Happy Hour Friday ones are a lot of fun to listen to multiple times. You can get all of that by searching for the KABC News Blitz. Now, we told you about insurance fraud when it came to the case of the guy who dressed up like a bear to scratch up his Rolls Royce. we told you about the other cases of fraud where the insurance companies, even when they can see it's fraud, like somebody claiming that a landlord is a slumlord when they're not, they settle because somehow that's cheaper and then pass on the cost back to you or even drop you from your policy. There are so many things going on in the world of insurance in California. It's something that is certainly getting out of control. The rates are going up. People are getting dropped. People are scared. And it's where you want some semblance of security and stability from the elected person who is supposed to be dealing with insurance. Our insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara. Well, our friends over at KGO in San Francisco, they found out just how hard it is to get a hold of the insurance commissioner, whether you're a constituent or whether you're the news media. For more, here's a great report from ABC 7 in the Bay Area.
California's insurance crisis is in chaos, now spurring calls for the insurance commissioner to step down over a lack of transparency.
Well, and the fact that he's giving the insurance companies everything they want and more, and doesn't look like we're getting anything for it. And this crisis has been going on for many years, and he's just now coming up with a plan.
I'm very disappointed in the insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara's lack of being able to be transparent.
He said, you're on your own, basically.
They just weren't really helpful.
Then he's not doing his job, and he should leave.
Anybody like Ricardo Lara?
The state's plan to expand coverage in fire-prone areas is supposed to be implemented in less than 2 months.
And notice how Gavin never pays any attention. The legislature, we did a special session on oil prices. We did a special session, or they're doing a special session on what the future Trump administration might do. But where's the special session on the real crisis that is going on in California? And I know it's not just a California issue. I have pointed out many times that what's going on in Florida is just as bad, if not worse in some scenarios. But it would be nice to get some answers and some clarity from the person who's supposed to be solving this crisis.
And as 7 on Your Side, Stephanie Sierra will show you here tonight, tracking down the man in charge is no easy task, Stephanie.
Yes, Stan and Alma, it's been a long time coming. The state's insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, has the most authority to address this crisis, but his latest plan came with criticism. It's filled with loopholes, alleged misrepresentations of his promises. So for months now, we've tried to talk with him, but his office has repeatedly ignored our requests, refusing to answer basic questions. Now tonight, that changed.
Oh, boy, what happened?
I mean, the guy's got the title of insurance commissioner. Isn't he supposed to be doing something about insurance?
Meet Valerie Baldwin. Like millions of Californians, she was dropped by AAA, her insurer of 40 years. Then
40 years! And by the way, I've had AAA car insurance my whole life. I've seen my rates get jacked up a lot lately. But 40 years with a homeowner's policy and you just drop her? How dare you?
Then forced to another provider that spiked her premiums.
50% more.
Same story with her neighbor Bob.
60% higher.
And her neighbor Janet.
They canceled me. And meanwhile, the broker put me into the California Fair Plan. What do I have to come up with the money to pay off my mortgage? What will I do?
Despite the fact her...
I swear, we're getting to a point where home ownership might be unaffordable and car ownership might be unaffordable, not because of the prices of the land or the house or the car, but because of insurance.
Despite the fact her garden is well groomed and her Portola Valley property is directly adjacent to a fire station, the 86-year-old's premiums still went up nearly 50%.
And there's somebody on a fixed income, obviously, who's not going to have the extra 50% in a house premium. So what's she got to do now? She's got to leave the state. How is this not being treated like a 5-alarm fire?
Absolutely frightening. And I was just numb with fear.
Fear turned to frustration as both of them tried to get answers from the man elected and granted the legal authority to respond to these situations. California's insurance commissioner, Ricardo Lara, and his staff.
He said, you're on your own, basically.
It was all on me to do it.
I think that they would try to give us some help. There's been nothing.
Our goal is...
And here's what happens when you try to get an answer from government as to why they are screwing you over or not helping you when they are supposed to. That's when the pissed off constituent goes to the local news. And usually the local news is able to get something done. But we're about to see a situation where even the local news gets stonewalled by Ricardo Lara, the insurance commissioner.
Our goal is to help consumers like Valerie, Jana, and Bob. It's why we're called 7 on Your Side. The irony here is the commissioner has the same message, telling consumers he's on your side, along with promise.
I don't buy that for 1 second. Ricardo Lara, the man who campaigned on that he wouldn't take any money from insurance companies and then took money from insurance companies, is not on your side.
Along with promises of transparency.
Hi, this is Michael Fowler at the California Department of Insurance.
I've called repeatedly. We really want to hear his side.
We don't often show you the behind-the-scenes reporting process, but the lack of communication with California's insurance commissioner and his office unfortunately became the story here.
That's not acceptable.
Now I know how they got him on the phone.
That's not acceptable.
To be fully transparent, for more than 2 months now, 7 on Your Side Investigates has made more than a dozen attempts via phone or email to speak to the commissioner about some of the concerns raised about his insurance reform plan. This affects all of us, but his staff has yet to give us a straight answer and oftentimes don't even respond.
And now, instead of the story being that the insurance commissioner is slow to respond to the ever-worsening crisis, the story is the insurance commissioner stonewalls and does not listen to the constituents or even hears their pleas.
It wasn't until the 6th email attempt over the course of 8 weeks, when we indicated we were doing a story on the matter, that we got a response.
I love it. I love it. I love it. The only thing that affects local politicians like Ricardo Lara is that they find out they're about to be publicly shamed because this guy thinks he has a future. This guy wants to run for the LA County Board of Supervisors.
It wasn't until the 6th email attempt over the course of 8 weeks, when we indicated we were doing a story on the matter, that we got a response. And his office told us with some advance planning, we can look at his availability through the end of the year. So we responded, we are happy to plan ahead, asking repeatedly for his availability. No response. I reached out the next day. The day after that, again and again. 5 more emails asking the same question.
Ricardo Lara, do you think this story makes you look good? It does not.
Still nothing. After another week, his office told us, when we have an outstanding interview request and the commissioner is not immediately available, we will revisit it periodically as his schedule develops. I believe this is standard practice among most elected offices. We finally heard back from his staff the day our story aired, more than 2 months later.
Why did it take so long to get a hold of you?
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, sure. He has no idea. Well, we're going to hear Ricardo Lara's side of the story after he just got bashed on local TV for about 4.5 minutes, after he stonewalled constituents, repeatedly refused interview requests for why he can't be transparent about the insurance crisis. We're going to hear what he has to say, how he knows nothing about how his office is completely stonewalling reporters. But luckily, the reporters up in Southern California and Northern California, they're tenacious, and they're going to make sure that they get some answers here. Before we get back to Ricardo Lara, let's go to Morris in Studio City. Morris, hello.
Yes, good afternoon. What's interesting, you see all them advertisements on television for all these accident-chasing lawyers. I was involved in a fender bender accident in 2020, 2 weeks before I was supposed to go to trial this year at the Stanley Moss Courthouse. Mercury Insurance settled with the party that filed the lawsuit. The damage to both vehicles was below $4,000 total. It was a fender bender. The lady was so upset on a freeway when it happened. It was a fender bender sideswipe accident. 2 police CHP cars stopped by. She wanted a report. They wouldn't even take a report. They said, we don't take a report for this. She claimed in the litigation her baby was hurt, which wasn't. Her fingers were hurting. Her back was hurting. Her neck was hurting. And then Mercury Insurance sent her for all these medical exams. And the medical exams came out that she wasn't hurt at all. At any rate, the law firm that handles it exclusively for Mercury, the litigation expense was just short of $70,000. The Mercury paid out just below $17,000. They were ready to go to litigation at the Stanley Moss Courthouse downtown L.A. And I pleaded with Mercury. I sent a letter to the insurance commission. This is fraud. They don't do anything about it. No response. And this is rampant going on. And you wonder why the auto insurance bill is so high. They just go ahead.
Yeah,
and pay
that's
these
why it's
claims,
going up,
which is
because it's paying
ridiculous.
for these fraudulent claims like what happened to that landlord and what looks like happened to you, because they don't want to fight it. They just figure we'll pass on the cost to you. How much did your rates go up after that, Morris?
Oh, about 200%.
Unbelievable. I'm so sorry about that, buddy. Thanks for the call, Morris. Appreciate it. More on Ricardo Lara trying to dodge the media and try to be held accountable for his inaction on the insurance crisis next. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. All right, they finally, after 2 months, got a hold of Ricardo Lara. Let's see what he had to say.
Why did it take so long to get a hold of you?
Oh, I have no idea. I have no idea this was the case. We've been, busy traveling the state, so I apologize for that. I wasn't aware.
This is the first time it's been brought to your attention?
Yeah.
I don't believe that for 1 second.
I have been very concerned about the way in which the current commissioner has conducted himself in this office.
Congressman John Garamendi was California's first elected insurance commissioner who served for 8 years. He sent a letter to Commissioner Lara last year, signed by dozens of California lawmakers, including 9 from the Bay Area, all calling on Lara to hold insurers accountable by using his authority granted by Proposition 103.
But Ricardo Lara's not going to do that. He needs the kickbacks from the insurance companies.
That's the state law that protects consumers from unfair insurance practices and rate hikes.
Over the last 3 years, I have observed that this commissioner is not willing to take the hard task and the necessary task to stand up to the insurance industry. Now, if the commissioner is not willing to do that, and there's plenty of signs that he is not, then he's not doing his job.
No, even though they're getting rate hike after rate hike after rate hike, Ricardo Lara's new rules means that they can get more rate hikes faster.
And he should leave.
Do you have a response to that?
I do not.
When Lara was running for re-election in 2022, he had this to say about insurers raising rates.
I'm very kind of sketch about giving them any authority to just haphazardly raise rates.
Yeah, but that's what you just did. Seems kind of sketch.
Without getting anything for the consumer.
Since then, the state's top insurers have raised homeowner rates by at least 30% or more.
You have the option to file legal action against these insurers. Will you do that?
I would file legal action against an insurer that's breaking the law and that is breaking the current regulations that abide by Prop 103. The rates that you've been seeing reflect the risk of where we're living. We've had unprecedented fires since 2017.
Let's go back to 2017.
When we asked years ago for him to be engaged and he just kept pushing it off.
State Senator Brian Daly says he reached out to him years ago for help after the 2017 Tubbs fire and the 2018 Camp Fire, the state's deadliest wildfire.
And he didn't respond. He wouldn't even respond to the calls I was receiving in my office of people who couldn't get insured.
What do you have to say about that?
Wow, that's interesting because we've had several town halls in the senator's district. So that's a surprise for us. I'll make sure I connect with Senator, who's a good friend.
This was a direct request.
He's not a good friend. One thing that you can say in a very divided California is that there is bipartisan agreement that everybody hates Ricardo Lara. Everybody. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. And Ron writes in and says, hey, Randy, 30 years in insurance here, all in claims. On every suspicious claim, an insurance company weighs the risk of paying something, nuisance, or fighting the claim. Fighting the claim costs a lot, attorney's fees, and with a progressive jury, you can end up paying more than the original claim. BTW, good show. Ron, thank you so much for the information. Yeah, I don't know if we're getting out of this crisis anytime soon, but at least you can walk away from this show knowing one thing. If you try to dress up like a bear to trash your Rolls Royce, you're going to get caught and you're going to do time. Hey, tomorrow from noon to 3, I want to see you out in Long Beach. Come celebrate the 20th anniversary of Gladstone's Long Beach with the John Phillips Show, which includes me, on Friday, November 15th from noon to 3. That's tomorrow. We'll be broadcasting live from the beautiful patio right on the Rainbow Harbor in Long Beach. It's gorgeous out there. The view is amazing. So is the food. Gladstone's Long Beach is located at 330 South Pine Avenue, directly across from the Pike Shopping Center. They are voted the #1 seafood restaurant in Long Beach by the Long Beach Press-Telegram. So you know you're going to have a great meal, have a great time. Come hang out with some like-minded individuals because everybody's going to be there is a big KABC fan. So you'll make some new friends. It'll be a great time. We're excited to see everybody take some pictures, maybe have a Mai Tai. The News Blitz tomorrow is going to be on tape. It'll be a best of the happy hour News Blitz. So you'll be sure to enjoy that, and I'll see you back here live. But get down to Long Beach tomorrow from noon to 3. And if you ever miss any episode of this show or you need more News Blitz in your life, go to Apple Podcasts and search for the KABC News Blitz and hit that follow button. Would really appreciate it. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC.